Arnold was born in a remote Austrian town. Post-war Austria was a mess. It was a beautiful country, but in the wake of World War II, the economy was in shambles. Arnold was the second son to Gustav and Aurelia. The couple married in the wake of Germany's defeat in World War II. Gustav returned bitter and angry to serve as chief of the police in the town of Thal. Arnold's father Gustav was noted to have preferred Arnold's older brother and the firstborn son, Meinhard. Arnold being born into second place drove a competitiveness which would remain for life. Gustav's pressures on Arnold stemmed from his father's paranoia that Arnold was not truly his son, suspecting that Aurelia had had an affair, with Arnold being the result. Arnold too believed he never truly belonged in Thal and had believed, or perhaps wished, that his true father had been an American GI. The family struggled financially. The strict household paired with limited resources often left Arnold to dream of his future and to wish for something bigger and better. But when Arnold finally visited the cinemas for the first time, his dreams were right in front of him. He saw the film Hercules, starring bodybuilder Reg Park. Seeing the physique, the spectacle, and the women, Arnold's future became clear to him. Arnold began lifting, slowly developing his physique. Arnold would study psychology to learn about how the mind could be used to exact will over the body. By shaping his mind, Arnold's workouts became more productive. He was able to harness the mind-muscle connection and overcome the discomfort of training hard. He would make more rapid development, and everyone quickly realized his potential. But he knew if he wanted to succeed in bodybuilding, he'd need to move to America. So, at the age of 18, Arnold enrolled in the military in order to more quickly complete the mandatory military service of 2 years. Arnold saw the military as an undesirable but necessary part of his journey. In Austria, you could only acquire a passport once the military service had been completed. But Arnold was still obsessed with bodybuilding. While in basic training, Arnold saw there was a competition for Junior Mr. Europe in a few towns over, so he asked permission to go and compete. But the senior military officials rejected the request. But Arnold went anyways, going AWOL for over a week. But the craziest part? He actually won. So when Arnold returned, instead of being reprimanded, he was celebrated. Arnold had gambled and won. And when he asked for early leave to finally pursue bodybuilding, the military relented. They quickly had realized Arnold's future didn't lie in the military or even Austria. Arnold packed up, left the military, and moved to Munich, Germany, where bodybuilding finally became his full-time job. He lived in the gymnasium where he was a trainer. This granted him immediate access to exercise several hours a day and to train others during his downtime. He was able to finally live and breathe bodybuilding. This propelled Arnold's development, and when he stepped on stage at the Mr. Universe competition, he won at just the age of 20. Arnold was winning competitions in Europe, but the US was leagues ahead of Europe. Arnold could only achieve becoming the best bodybuilder in the world if he moved to America. At the heart of bodybuilding was Venice, California. The physiques here were bigger and better than anything Arnold had seen in Europe. This meant two things. One, Arnold, for the first time in his life, was finally where he belonged, living and training with the best bodybuilders in human history. Two, Arnold's competition was now tougher than ever, and really, the challenge had only just begun. When Arnold entered into his first American competition, he lost, Frank Zane taking first place, and Arnold, for the first time in his life, had his head filled with doubt. His career hung in the balance. He could succeed in Europe, sure, but again, America was a different league. He received criticism directly. Here, people explained that the standards of bodybuilding were different. Frank Zane wasn't just an athlete, he was an artist. His physique flowed. And so despite being smaller than Arnold, he had built what is still considered to be one of the greatest physiques of all time. So instead of wallowing in the loss, Arnold adapted to the new environment, training harder and smarter, even going so far as to invite Frank Zane to live with him, so they could train together and learn from each other in their training methods. And then what happened next was an unrivaled athletic feat. The Mr. Olympia competition was designed to only consider the best bodybuilders from all of the other competitions that Arnold had competed in previously. All of the world's best came out to the Olympia. Each were considered the best in their respective competitions. Now, finally, they had an opportunity to come and settle who was the best in the world. Arnold lost again, but unlike Arnold's previous defeat, this didn't sway him. To the contrary, winning was now in the palm of his hand. He had placed second, sure, but second in the world. His dream of becoming the best in the world was within his grasp, but he still had to steel his mind. The training was secondary to the mind. The years of effort, consistency was all for this competition. Arnold was already training twice a day for 5 hours, 6 days a week, but this had been going on for years, decades, just to achieve this one goal. The mistake people make with any athletic achievement is they boil it down to genetics or talent. But there was no gift handed to Arnold to overcome the poverty in his hometown of Austria. His years of attempting to reach America and even to shape the body requires an almost impossible willpower, day in, day out, for years. It was Arnold's mind and the will that saw him overcome these obstacles, and it would take him to the Olympia. Arnold Schwarzenegger would win the Olympia, beating every bodybuilder for the title of Mr. Olympia, crowning him as the best bodybuilder in the world. And then he won that title 6 more times. Arnold exited the bodybuilding industry and later became one of the highest grossing actors of all time. He would then become governor to California, where he completed 2 terms. There's a quote that I think demonstrates the approach Arnold took to his life, which is, "How you do anything is how you do everything." Arnold, like many of us, had extraordinary obstacles placed between him and his goals, but his will was able to traverse those obstacles and limitations and lead him to completing his vision. This is the Stoic mindset. This is what builds champions. This is what builds civilizations. This is how people improve and reinvent themselves, driving and being witness to the will which demands excellence from yourself.